Hi, everyone. Super excited to have you here today. My name is Lillian. I lead the crypto and Web3 fintech business here in Singapore for AWS. I'm super excited because we have an awesome panel discussion for you today. We are going to discuss the future of finance, Web3, crypto, and blockchain. We'll be hearing from three of the leading startups that I'm currently working with in the crypto space and digital assets, and we're going to hear their thoughts on common misconceptions on decentralized finance and where they think this industry is headed. So guys, welcome. Let's start with a bit of intro. Ian, I'll go over to you first.
Thanks, Lillian. So hello to everybody out there, and thanks for having me. My name is Ian, and I'm part of the founding team at Merkle Science, where I currently serve as Director of Partnerships. Prior to joining Merkle Science, I actually started my career as a capital markets lawyer. And since then, I've been applying my knowledge in the legal and regulatory space in trying to help develop innovative solutions to help crypto businesses stay safe. Here at Merkle Science, we like to call ourselves the next generation predictive cryptocurrency risk and intelligence platform, where we aim to help detect, investigate, and prevent the illegal use of cryptocurrencies. We envision a world powered by crypto, and through the innovative solutions that we've created, we're basically designing the infrastructure necessary to ensure the safe and healthy growth of the cryptocurrency industry as a whole, as it becomes a key pillar in our 22 trillion financial services ecosystem. Together with my amazing team, which today is spread quite globally, across Singapore, New York, London, and Bangalore, we support crypto businesses, financial institutions, regulators, and law enforcement globally. Now, among the many solutions that we've built, our core product is something that we call Compass, which is designed as a wallet and transaction monitoring tool to help businesses track in real time if the crypto that they're receiving are coming from, sanctioned entities, darknet marketplace, ransomware accounts, to name a few. Additionally, what's really special about our Compass solution is that it leverages our proprietary behavioral rule engine, which allows clients to go beyond just this blacklist approach and create, customized alerts to detect potential money laundering as well as suspicious transaction behavior. And what this does for businesses is that it basically allows them to better meet their AML obligations. Aside from Compass, some of the other exciting tools that we've built is a tool called Tracker. Tracker's really cool. It's a forensics tool which we created for law enforcement agencies, cybersecurity firms, and financial intelligence units to help them investigate how these criminals are using cryptocurrency. Today, undeniably, crypto is very popular. We see retail coming in, institutions coming in, but the reality is, criminals are using cryptocurrencies. And so with Tracker, law enforcement can see in real time how these criminals are collecting their illicit proceeds, where they're moving it to, and they can use this data in order to seize, these misappropriated assets and basically help them identify these bad actors behind the incident. And last but not least, recognizing that financial institutions are increasingly wanting to get into the crypto space, we've actually recently launched an enterprise solution called Explorer, which combines what we call on-chain with off-chain data to better help these financial institutions understand the risk that comes with dealing with crypto businesses in order to streamline their onboarding of these crypto firms and basically allow them to work together in a safe and compliant manner.
That's super cool, Ian. I think in my time at AWS, I've seen a lot of folks do regulatory compliance in the Web2 space. Now with crypto and digital assets up and coming, it totally makes sense to do that for this decentralized world as well. So it makes a lot of sense. Jerry, I think probably something that's relevant for what you guys do at CoinHako. Do you want to tell us a little bit more about your startup and your role there?
Yeah, sure. Thanks for having me here, Lilian. So hi everyone, my name is Jerry Ng, and I'm the co-founder and CTO of CoinHako. So I co-founded CoinHako in 2014 with my good friend Yusho. At that time, we both were informed of Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies. We wanted to buy and sell Bitcoin. But because the crypto market was still in its infancy, it was very difficult to find a good platform that can provide easy access to Bitcoin and various cryptos. So having identified this market gap, we decided to start our own venture called CoinHako, to connect users to the crypto space and provide them easy access to digital assets like Bitcoin. So at CoinHako, I'm responsible for driving the tech developments and key business support functions. I also play a key role developing CoinHako's security and compliance systems. And I personally find it very rewarding when our efforts are recognized on a national level in Singapore. So our anti-fraud and anti-scam efforts have won us the Singapore Commercial Affairs Department Community Partnership Award, as well as the Ministry of Home Affairs National Day Award. So which is a testament to the work that we are doing here.
For sure. And I know that your team works really hard on anti-fraud, so it's really cool to see you guys get recognition for that.
Thank you.
Okay, so two folks in the crypto space. Abhishek, you're kind of peripheral in digital assets. Tell us more about Comdex and what you folks are doing.
Thanks, Lillian. And it's really great to see innovators from Singapore coming in. So hi, everyone. I'm Abhishek Singh. I'm the founder and CEO of Comdex. So Comdex, we started the whole journey with the vision to democratize finance and make it more accessible to people. And we realized the way Web3 started, there's a need to bridge the gap between centralized finance and decentralized finance. So we began this journey in the commodity space, trying to tokenize bills of lading, right here in Singapore. And we were trying to do peer-to-peer trading and bring more efficiency to the commodity trading market. We started with tokenizing these real-world NFTs and then tokenize money itself and facilitate trade to bring in more efficiency into the system. And we moved beyond institutions, and we wanted to see how retailers can actually leverage this inflation-resistant asset class that we have. And we started the work on a decentralized synthetics protocol. We wanted to see how retailers in a decentralized way can take exposure to commodities without being dependent on traditional brokers, etc. A little bit about myself. I come from a software engineering background. I've done my engineering, been an Ethereum miner, been a BTC user since 2013. And now when I started with Comdex here in Singapore, we really wanted to change how retailers get access to financial instruments which were not accessible to them before. So Comdex is more about giving seamless access to these asset classes like trade finance, which is something which is very safe, but retailers do not have access to. We wanted to help SMEs and MSMEs in this space because the big players have very good access to banking, but the smaller players kind of get left out. So this crypto and is all about getting all these people together into the system. So we've got 18 clients now who use our platform and have settled over 160 million worth of trade. So this is how we started, and we truly believe that this is going to be the future where a lot more people be able to invest using crypto assets, and with fraud prevention, etc. coming in, we can just see how important this is becoming in this space as well.
That's a super exciting space to be in. I love how you're just democratizing access to all of these different, investment vehicles that retailers typically wouldn't have access to. And especially excited about the fact that you're built on Cosmos, because I am invested in Atom. So really good to see you do work there. By the way, that's not investment advice, disclaimer. I think there's so much more to unpack, but can you tell us a little bit more maybe about the misconceptions that people might have about the space that you play in?
I mean, one common misconception I would think is, everyone thinks crypto as just as a currency and, maybe to make some, quick returns. But it's better to take a deep dive into what crypto can enable and, what it represents, what the community is about, and, how you can actually, in a way, change the world by, leveraging these solutions and working towards it. So with a lot more countries now, adopting crypto and accepting it as legal tender, it becomes. It is coming, and it's better to learn more about the technology before it takes over.
Yeah, absolutely. I think you guys are proof that there's so much more potential in the digital assets and crypto space as well. Pivoting back to crypto, Ian, what about yourself? What do you think are sort of common misconceptions in the space that you play in?
Oof, where do I even start? I think when it comes to misconceptions, the biggest battle that we fight every day, it's probably the reputation problem that crypto has, right? And this fight is happening on several fronts, right? To give you one example, a lot of people think that crypto is used overwhelmingly by criminals, and this is probably because of what they read in the news, right? Criminals using Bitcoin for money laundering, exchanges being hacked, and things like that. Organizations using crypto to evade sanctions. Yet, according to the data that we have, the illicit activity in crypto, and this includes entities such as hackers, sanctioned individuals, mixers, tumblers, and darknet marketplaces, all these transactions actually account for less than 1% of total activity. Now, this is a shockingly low number, right? Especially when you compare this to, let's say, cash, where research conducted by a Harvard professor shows that about 34 to 39% of all cash in circulation is used by criminals. So 1% in comparison, it's nothing. And another major misconception that people have is that crypto is anonymous, right? It's untraceable. And while there are certain privacy coins out there like Monero, Zcash, that were designed to mask transaction information by cryptographically hiding some of the identifying information that could link an individual to a transaction, the reality is it's very difficult to sell and liquidate any of these privacy coins. And so not a lot of people use them. So if you're looking to liquidate millions of dollars worth of stolen funds, it's actually quite impossible in the crypto space. On top of that, the bulk of cryptocurrencies traded today, such as your Bitcoin, Ethereum, Atom, right, are all instead built on public blockchains, which are highly, highly traceable, right? And these misconceptions then are very dangerous because what they tend to do is they tend to lead to over-regulations, right? They tend to lead to certain countries giving outright bans to crypto, right? And this can cause, innovation to slow down by making it very difficult for crypto companies to access, basic services. For example, I know one of the biggest problems that a lot of crypto companies had in Singapore for the longest time was that they simply couldn't open bank accounts. They couldn't get insurance because, the industry just had this perception that crypto is dangerous and they didn't want to touch it. And that's why we feel it's so important for us to build tools and to educate the public, not just on the risks, but also the opportunities that crypto possesses so that, everyone can basically enter into the space and transact with crypto in a safe and compliant manner.
Yeah, I would definitely second that. And I think an ongoing misconception of the crypto industry is that crypto is mostly used for illegal purposes. So a means of payment on the dark web, money laundering, terrorist financing, and the likes. So I think this misconception is driven by the principle that crypto offers users the ability to operate anonymously. However, I think as Ian has mentioned, reports have shown that illicit transactions make up a very small fraction of the total volume. So in reality, most responsible exchanges and platforms, centralized exchanges, have very, very stringent know your customers or in short KYC processes, alongside very robust safety and compliance frameworks to mitigate such transactions and activities. Another misconception that very prevalent in the industry, especially in the trading of crypto, is that it is a get-rich-quick scheme. So people usually remember the uptrends, but not as many remember the market crashes. So, and with all investments, there are always risks, and the risk in crypto trading is very real. So it's wise to always do due diligence, take a prudent approach towards crypto investing, and remember that if it's too good to be true, it probably isn't.
That's super interesting. I think especially that stat that you had mentioned, probably a lot of folks from home don't really know that in terms of, 1% of crypto trading is actually illicit versus, did you say 30% in cash? I think that's really interesting. And I think what we're also seeing is, crypto investing is definitely hitting the mainstream, especially given that the markets now are really more correlating with kind of the standard markets. Like you would think that, this kind of political climate with sort of stuff happening, with inflation rates going up and the instability that we're seeing in the government, that's kind of exactly the type of philosophy that early crypto believers would be sort of investing for and kind of hedging against the normal markets. But because we see that correlation between crypto and sort of the normal markets now, like it's very much kind of hit the mainstream and it's more accessible, as you guys said, for retail investors now too. That being said, the next thing that I really want to ask is sort of where you folks think, this space is headed in. What's next for you? Abhishek, I'll start over on your side.
I mean, the main thing for us now is to just have more accessibility, get more users to get to use these platforms that we've been building. Another thing that we're coming up with is the synthetics protocol. You can use multiple crypto assets on the Cosmos ecosystem, your Atom, Luna, USD, and create commodity synthetics as well. So, and in the future roadmap, we want to tokenize fund investments where you can get earlier liquidity for LPs, and retailers can buy those LP shares from their crypto assets as well. So this is the space that we're trying to get into, and trying to make it more mainstream for retail users to invest in such asset classes.
Yeah, absolutely. I think accessibility is a super critical part about making it more open for retail investors. So really cool to see that. So I think in crypto, like accessibility is already there. Obviously, we have exchanges that are very accessible to your average investor. What do you guys think is next in the crypto space?
Yeah, definitely. So I echo Abhishek's sentiments, or sentiments of extension to institutional investors. So, and just last year, CoinHacker launched a new vertical, we call it CoinHacker Privé, to cater to institutional investors. And we are looking to continue developing this vertical. And if we just look a few years back, institutions were not interested at all, some to the extent of being skeptical in crypto and its value proposition. It was deemed as not fitting for an asset class, and most institutions saw it as a fad. So, however, the initial from institutions was progressively overcome when they see digital assets go through multiple boom and bust cycles, namely in 2013, 2018, 2020, and having demonstrated sustained power, to ride out these cycles. And coupled with the evolution of these assets to now include new and growing ecosystems, such as metaverse, NFTs, DeFi, which is short for decentralized financial systems. The crypto space is steadily gaining a lot more legitimacy. And with the growing interest and adoption of crypto by institutional investors, it is actually quite imperative that we provide a tried and tested infrastructure consisting of things like greater controls, better accounting, better reporting, stronger API connectivity, permissions management, for institutions to securely trade, store and lend their digital assets. So, and for us, being one of the longest standing crypto platforms in the Asia Pacific region, so CoinHacker is actually quite committed in our mission to being a reliable and safe bridge between a wide spectrum of digital assets and traditional finance. Yeah.
Awesome. That's really cool. Yeah. Go ahead.
No, I agree with what they said. And accessibility has always been an issue. I remember when I first got into the crypto space in 2016, it was very difficult to buy my first Bitcoin, right? Or fraction of a Bitcoin. And I remember at that time, CoinHacker was the first platform that I ever used to buy a fraction of a crypto. And it provided really the most seamless onboarding experience, because otherwise, I had no idea how to put money into the system to even get this digital asset. Here at Merkle Science, though, we see the evolution of the crypto space in wanting to develop, again, new tools to basically account for how the space is developing, right? And as a result, we are keeping an eye on areas which we are seeing an uptick in adoption, which like to leverage, digital assets in a meaningful way. And this includes, building solutions for NFTs and DeFi, which in the last couple of months we have seen as being a very popular trend. Building customized solutions for financial institutions. Like I mentioned, we see more banks wanting to come in, launch their own CBDCs. We see insurance companies wanting to come in and provide coverage to the space. And all these new companies, they need new tools to help them better understand the risk. So that's what we're focusing on. And we're really optimistic about how this space will be evolving.
That's super cool. Yeah, I think wherever you have sort of new investment vehicles, a lot of different types of industries converging, you're going to see a lot of that sort of risk come out. And I think it's a really interesting space that you guys are capitalizing on for sure. And you know what? We didn't even get time to double click on NFTs. Like, I feel like there's so much more that we can unpack with this group here. But thank you so much for your guys' inputs and insights. It was super interesting to get like a behind the scenes look and your thoughts on this space. So really appreciate your time here. Awesome, folks. That's all the time that we have today. We really appreciate your feedback. So would love to understand what other topics and services that you'd want to know more about. Please do take some time and fill out our survey so that you can let us know what you think. Hope you enjoy the rest of today's sessions. Thanks again and have a great rest of your day.